Hello, everybody. Today I will be discussing the topic of police interrogation, more specifically, the psychology behind this important process. The purpose of this presentation is to give you, the viewer, an insightful and more comprehensive understanding of police interrogation and inform you about the psychology involved in police interrogation. What is police interrogation? Police interrogation is the formal questioning of a potential suspect to gather more information about a crime. The purpose of an interrogation is to gain evidence, encourage a confession, and gain insight into the crime as it took place. There is a common assumption associated with police interrogation. It's the idea that the average person may believe that interrogators primarily look for signs of deception in a suspect, like excessive vitaging, inconsistent stories, or overly defensive responses. But there is no single indicator of deception. Instead, interrogators focus on the signs of discomfort or distress in the suspect. Ultimately, the interrogator is trying to determine why this discomfort is occurring, and leading toward that conclusion can help bring the needed insight into the case. Within police interrogation, there are two main approaches that an interrogator will use. They will either create comfort or create discomfort in the suspect. Each of these methods serve to elicit a psychological response from the suspect, guiding them toward a desired outcome within the interrogation, which would usually be a confession or the disclosure of important facts or information. When an interrogator wants to create comfort, it's important that they calm the suspect. They will create a psychologically relaxing environment. For example, the interrogator will sit the suspect closer to the door so they don't feel trapped, mentally and physically. The interrogator will make sure to sit at least 4 to 5 feet away from the suspect and give them a necessary amount of personal space. The interrogator will also decrease the amount of eye contact they engage in, which can help the suspect ease up. The interrogator may also utilize certain body language tools, like cathartic exhales. This subconsciously makes the suspect mirror that relaxation and internalize it, even if they don't consciously recognize what's happening. The interrogator will also make sure to ask simple questions, and this can help the suspect make positive associations early on. Ultimately, the more calm the suspect is during the interrogation, the better their memory recall will be. This is what the interrogator needs in order to gain information and insight into the case. On the contrary, there are times when interrogators will intentionally create discomfort in the suspect. Legally, police can lie to you during an interrogation. They can lie about evidence and even pressure the suspect into confessing. They can make false claims against the suspect, where they can say things like, "We have surveillance footage of you doing this," or "We have eyewitnesses who saw you commit the crime," even if the suspect didn't. These false claims exist to make the suspect confess to their crimes. They will pressure the suspect, leave them in the interrogation room for long periods of time to get them mentally exhausted. Interrogators will also engage in something called maximization, where they will exaggerate evidence or consequences to scare the suspect, and may also minimize evidence to downplay the seriousness of the crime in order to encourage a confession. The interrogator will repeatedly accuse the suspect and force them to hear the same things over and over so that they feel overwhelmed. Psychological discomfort may be reflected in the suspect's behavior, but these behaviors aren't necessarily signs of clear deception. Interrogators will continually remind themselves as to why the suspect is feeling the discomfort, if any. Science doesn't support using discomfort as an automatic sign of deception. This is where the Pinocchio theory comes into play, which states that liars use more words than those that are truthful, but this theory can fall short and it's not always true. It's also very important to be cautious when creating discomfort and to judge when to introduce pressure. This is because once you introduce pressure, the calm state that the interrogator worked so hard to maintain could take up to an hour to get back to. So it's important to use pressure when it will likely benefit the conversation at hand. In conclusion, interrogators do not look for a single sign of deception, and instead assess signs of psychological discomfort and distress. A relaxing environment enhances memory recall and cooperation. Interrogators intentionally adjust their tone, body language, physical positioning to either reduce or contribute toward the suspect's stress levels to elicit a confession. And that concludes this video presentation. Thank you so much for listening, and I sincerely hope you gained more insight into the process behind police interrogation. Thank you and stay well. Bye-bye.